perspective. And
Yeah.
as a result, we lose out on everything else that we could be doing. And we lose out on the process of self creation.
Hmm. Yeah, I noticed that on the cover of your book, it was like a double negative, and I'm glad you addressed that because I was going to ask you about that a little later on.
Yeah, yeah. Because in the book I talk about, when you do self therapy and you're moving through this process of examining yourself and then moving forward, that it's similar to like a person standing in a dark field at midnight, and it's kind of like a lightning storm in the distance, and every now and then you get a flash of lightning, and as the person standing there in total
Well,
darkness, they may see the rocks around them, or water on the ground, or
mm,
boulders or pits, and it appears to them for a second, then it disappears, and they have a picture in their head, and they say, "Oh, they see the world really as it is,"
hmm,
you know. But then
wow.
with each successive flash of lightning, they get more pictures, and at some point, they can take all those pictures and fuse it into a solid image, that they a roadmap in their head, and they know where everything is, and so they use it as a guide to get around falling into a pit or tripping into water or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so the self therapy process is along those lines. That as you're going through, it's a journey, as you're getting these pictures of, from time to time, you'll get an insight and say, wow, I'm handling things this way, or I'm seeing things from this perspective. But then you get a different picture, a different view. That window opens, and you get information that's different than what you experienced already, what you believe. And then it starts to change your perspective on where you are in the world, and what your power is.
Yeah.
That's when you start to learn your power. That's where the power within is. When you can start to understand this model and then start to apply it and actually make changes, and you'll see them, and you'll see it in other people too, and how they approach you, you know.
Hmm, I see. So we have the power within to make these changes. We just have to access it.
Yeah,
Would that be
yeah,
the word?
and to have a model that you're using that kind of
Mm-hmm.
keeps you on the right path, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so, throughout the centuries, people have tried to come up with, a right path, a way to follow, and usually it comes through the forms of like religion, or through politics, or through media and that type of thing, movies and other things, to kind of show you which direction you should be taking, And but the fact is that there are multiple paths,
Yeah,
and what
that's
may
what
be right for us. Each
I'm.
person has their own set of circumstances and their own needs in the world, and own goals in life.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. How do you identify what the right path is?
Right.
I guess
And
that's part of the journey.
that's
Hmm.
part of the journey, and that's why I brought it down to this model, is because
Mm-hmm.
it's pure in the sense that it's not espousing any religious beliefs, or anything else. Not espousing, a doctrine set by a company or anything else. It's actually getting at the core of who you are, and giving you something that's a pure model that you can understand yourself with, and without having to take a path or anything else, because there are multiple paths, and that's what leads to confusion in our lives, because we have so many paths put before us, we don't know which one to choose, and what, you're pulled in one direction or another, and don't really get to your own inner power, your own inner strength, you know,
Yeah.
to shape yourself and to create yourself. Mhm.
Well, how would you know? I mean, I can understand why you would change a path because it's not working for you.
Uh-huh.
How would you know that you're on the correct path?
Right. Yeah. And so, yeah, and the correct path has to be from inside. So a lot of people look externally for the direction to be on the path, and so they may go to a monastery and study, to follow their spirituality. They may go to a karate studio to learn the path. They may go to
Yeah.
into a profession and take that as their path in life.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not, and it may work for them to some degree, but then often as they're going down that path, they start having questions, about, is this right for me? You know, where am I headed in my
Mhm.
life? You know, is this really making me happy? You know, and a lot of the happiness comes from actually inside. It has to be something that you're directing and that you're creating and taking responsibility for yourself, for your own self creation, and not counting on external sources to tell you who you should be or where you should be going.
Mhm.
And that's what
Well,
the
I
book's
know that
about. Is
that's what the
that
book it addresses that because I understand that a lot of people make career changes
hmm
because they're not happy inside. I guess
right?
that's called the power within,
Yeah,
and they make lifestyle changes. They might make changes in their marriage situation or or
mhm,
friendships. So we look to strategies to handle those changes. Is that
right.
accurate?
And sometimes when people are doing that, they they get confused, as to what they should be doing, and a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
unhappiness comes from the fact that they're trying to follow an external lead instead of looking inside and finding their own source of strength and what's going to make them happy.
Yeah.
uh, and
Yeah.
so people hear all the time. People get married because it was time for me to get married. I was at that age,
Right. Right.
and they
Right.
get into
Right. Right.
marriage, and it's because of external sources telling them they should get married, and then they should have kids because the grandparents want kids. That want them to have children and all these other sources.
Excuse me. Can we? Are you talking to me right now or no?
And
Or
Just
or
saying. But
people
you're
can get
right. I mean,
or people can get divorced
go
because they're
ahead,
not happy
Garry.
and find out that they're just as miserable being single because they're looking for, as you were saying, an out to change my outside situation when the issue wasn't what was on the outside, the issue was what was on the inside.
and right, and part of the point of this book is that it's always on the inside. It's never on the outside. Yeah, the external circumstances are things that you can actually manipulate in your life and get them in line with who you are and what you want to do and be yourself. Because if you're not being yourself, then you're just playing a role for the external sources.
Hmm.
But so there are people who
Indeed,
have decided,
indeed. So,
how can
I'm
people get
sorry.
this? How
Is
can
that it,
people
Dr.
get this?
Jennings?
Okay. Well, the first thing is, I think
Sorry.
what causes you're talking about the inertia. I think there are a lot of people who are fearful of being with themselves.
Hmm.
They would rather just kind of follow the guidelines outside
A lot of people
and
so
and
that they
go
don't have to think
live
about.
their life
Yeah.
according to what is
Yeah.
expected,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
you know, rather than looking inside, because the fear is what am I going to
Yeah.
find? Look inside, you know,
Hmm.
you know, and do I have the strength? Do I have the power? There's a fear of failure that you're not going to be able to make those changes, or to looking
Or
inside
maybe,
to make sense of it. hmm
or maybe you won't like yourself. You won't, like you said, you won't like what you find.
Yeah, yeah, and getting
Once you're with yourself, you
deeper
may
into
like
it.
yourself. Is that what you said?
Yeah, and in the
Wow.
unconscious, we have what's called the shadow self, which is the negative self. A very destructive part of ourselves, and that's a natural part of the psyche. It's part of what I get into the book. So people are afraid of finding that negative part of themselves. You know,
Yeah.
but it comes out every now and then when with road rage, with all types of things where people become very hostile and aggressive and destructive.
But when they
Mhm. So we kind of fear that part of ourselves, when we start to examine that this
I mean,
negative
and we're
part of
all
us.
not, let me just say, none of us are perfect.
No, no,
Yeah.
not by any means. Actually, I can go as far as to say that all of us are pretty much the same.
Imperfect.
Yes, and let me just say, none of us are perfect, and we. Yeah, but you know, I don't know. Do we accept what I'm asking you? Do we accept the negative parts of ourselves sort of balance? But I guess what the point of your book is saying that we can change that and we can be good all the time. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. No. Okay. We can't change the negative part of
We
ourselves.
can change that.
But we can embrace it because it's a natural part of us. What we can change is our behavior and how we act. You know, and how we channel that. You know, channel that energy.
Yes.
You know.
So in other words, if a person has a bad temper, and that's the inside, and that's a negative part, they can react differently. They can, when they get in a situation, they can walk away.
Correct, right. And they also can get tap into more of their positive side, the giving side of themselves, and make that part of their life journey, you know. Life
it's true. It's true. It's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's sort of like
where can we get your? Where can we get your book?
You can get it on Amazon.com. It's coming.
I'm sorry?
Now in,
say that again.
Yeah, and Amazon. You can get it on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. It's on both sites, you know. And it's The Power Within. If you just type in David S. Arnold, MD, it'll come up, you know, on the thing, you know. And I had the older books there. This book has a lot of the material from the previous books. But good to get the one that says The Power Within, because I've kind of added some sections and updated the language there. So people find that probably better. Yeah. It's also Kindle, you know, comes in Kindle.
And your other books, what were your other books called?
And the other one was iMind.
That's good to know. It comes in Kindle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, so that's good to know. It comes in Kindle.
So it's better to get the current edition, you know, the Power Within. Mm-hmm.
Talking about.
Okay, well, good. The Power Within.
So you was talking about inertia. People need to get off their butt and go get that, right?
Oh, yeah. And I think and I'm hoping that start a conversation, because what I'm planning to do is have seminars, and people are going to be inviting to sit down for a day and learn the model and begin to apply it and see what they can come up with. And
all right.
We will tell everyone to look for your book.
Mm-hmm.
We will tell everyone to look for your book. And thank you very much, Dr. Arnold, for being on with us and how to access our power within. And as you know, on Urban Health Feed, we know that laughter is the best medicine. So I'm going to ask you something way out of left field. How do you catch a school of fish with a bookworm?
I got you.
All right, so with a bookworm, it was just a little theme on the book situation.
Yes.
All right, well, we can say which fish costs the most. A goldfish. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Arnold.
Okay.
We'll see you next time. Dr. David Arnold, author of The Pen and Psychiatrist. Things like very much. You've been listening to Urban Healthy with Marilyn Harris Davis and Dr. Garry Jennings. And remember, this is a work in progress. So work it.